The company's main core product is Windows, and they are right now in a very competitive marketplace. They have Apple, which is highly resurgent and like doing really well. Android as an option is becoming very, very viable. So as a company, they are now facing competition on the desktop and in the tablet space from two players who are not, you know, as tied to the past as Microsoft is. So I think they need to get more sales going really, really fast. We've seen, you know, some of the PC makers, the classic PC makers struggle. HP, Dell, all these companies are seeing the attention go away from the traditional PC to the tablet. So they have some challenges.
There's new data out showing that holiday sales of Windows 8 devices were really disappointing. One of my favorite headlines, not even Santa could save Windows 8. I mean, you think some bigger trouble is coming for Microsoft. How bad do you think it's going to get?
I think, you know, Apple had Steve's reality distortion field, and Microsoft has distorted reality. So they have this whole reality that what they have been doing in the past and their way of doing things is the way to do things in the future. And that's not really the case. I think if you really look at the impact of Android on all markets, whether it's tablets, on the smartphone and the desktop, is that as an operating system, it's going to take away the pricing power of all the other competitors, including Microsoft. So Microsoft has that challenge. On top of that, it is competing with pretty much everybody in the world, right? It's competing with Apple, Google, IBM, Cisco. I mean, and they haven't really done a great job of competing with, you know, anyone, in my opinion.
What about the phones? Do they have hope?
I hope so for the sake of competition, but I don't really put, you know, too much weight in it just now. Maybe in 6 months we'll see how they do. And I think the Nokia CEO was also backtracking from Windows 8, so this kind of tells you that things may not be all good in bomber land.
So would you say this is the end of an era for Microsoft? I mean, what has Microsoft become?
I don't know. They need to ask that question to themselves, right? I think IBM faced a very desperate time in the 70s and the 80s, and they figured out that they needed to be a different kind of a company. And I think this is the moment of truth for Microsoft to kind of have a very realistic conversation with itself. What do they really want to be? And I think that's a challenge they have. I don't think they want to have that conversation. At least the current management doesn't want to face up to that reality.
Well, hopefully Steve Ballmer is watching this interview. I want to transition to Instagram because, as we know, over the last couple of weeks, the Instagram, Facebook, Twitter kerfuffle has sort of gotten a little out of control. You're a huge Instagrammer. You love it. It's one of the ways that you express yourself. Did you ever hesitate to use Instagram again after Kevin Systrom came out, changing the terms of service, then backpedaling, and now we're sort of in a gray area?
I didn't really care much for it, to be honest. It's like, okay, they changed the terms of service. I've always been very skeptical of all the companies in the social space, so I'm always careful what I'm sharing, what I am putting online, and I don't want to put all certain things online anyway. So from my standpoint, it was like, okay, they're changing terms of service. They were going to bring in sponsored stories, which was it's not that crazy an idea for a company which eventually has to make money. But they did a really bad job of explaining why they were changing the terms of service. I think it's not just Instagram. Most of the startups make that fatal mistake of changing rules of the game without explaining how it impacts average people who help them get to the point where they are. So I think if they had to do a do-over, probably better communication would be my way of doing it.
How much long-term damage do you think the whole situation
Sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you, but I don't think much has happened, really. I mean, people are still sharing. A lot of people have quit, but my feed is still as active as it used to be.
What about, Twitter has now its own photo filters, Path has its own photo filters. I mean, over the longer term, do you see Instagram not being the big guy in the room?
I don't quite know if the other people, like Twitter and Path are different use case, same as with Facebook. when I look at Instagram to me is almost like many different television channels. There is the fashion channel, there is the National Geographic channel,
The food channel.
The food channel. I'm looking at all these things through the eyes of different people. I'm looking at the world through the eyes of people who are professionals at taking a certain kind of picture. It's sort of like, you know how National Geographic just has better documentaries than any other network, right? They're beautiful, they take you to places you can't really go. Instagram is sort of like that. Like within 15 minutes, I can be in Burma, and I can be in Finland, and I can be in Brazil, and I can see the world coming awake within 15 minutes. I don't think there are many services like that. So the good analogy for Instagram is television viewing experience. And so that's the difference. That's how I think of Instagram. There's a lot of young people who think differently about it, and there is older people who think differently about it.